Hi everyone, we're going to be working on cutting down the barrel of a Winchester 1300. This barrel is currently 28 inches and I'm going to cut it down to about 19 3/4. The reason that I'm going to be cutting it down to 19 3/4 is that the vent ribs, you can see here, they stop at a certain point. And if I was to go to the edge here at 19 3/4, I'm going to get a clean look and it's going to be right to the edge of the vent rib. But if I was to go to 18.5, it would be right in the center. Or if I was to come all the way back, then I'd be too short. Now, if you were to, let's say, be right on the edge of 18 inches, there could be someone that comes by while you're shooting your gun and says, hey, I'm going to measure this. They could end up measuring it wrong. You're going to get caught up in some major lawsuit. You're going to have ATF at your door. And then next thing you know, you're going to have a lot of problems. So my suggestion is take it up a notch. And that way you're just a little bit more safe. You're not going to notice much when you're going through your house with it. What we're using here, this is a seat post cutter. And what the point of this is that it can go inside your clamp. It clamps down on the barrel, and then allows...
Seat post for what? Like a bike?
Bicycle seat post. And you can see it's a saw guide, and Park Tool is the brand, and SG7 is obviously the model number on there. But what it does is it allows us to clamp down onto it. It even allows the space for the vent rib to go into that, which is really cool. And when you clamp on down into it, it's not going to be pushing down on your barrel too much or distorting your vent rib. And what it does is it allows a guide for that cut to happen. So it's really nice and smooth, and it's all held in the right position. This is pretty cool. You could do it without it, but a lot of videos that I saw, people were doing it without it. They had a couple of different ways they did it, but in this way, I mean, it's just worked out really well. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it on down here.
Now we are using a 24 tooth saw blade on this, which I do recommend over your 18-inch saw tooth, so you get a little cleaner cut, and then we'll clean it back up with a Dremel tool afterwards. And again, this is taking a barrel that's 28 inches and putting it down to about 19 inches, so it's a little easier to go through doors, a little easier to bring up a little quicker when you're using it for home defense. So if you've bought a cheap shotgun, maybe in, something you've got at, a pawn shop or something like that, but you want more of a defensive type weapon, this would be the way to go. And most of your true defense guns are going to be a 18-inch improved cylinder, which basically means a wide open tube, so you don't have to worry about cutting out your chokes or anything like that.
One quick thing I wanted to comment on is that when you cut this barrel, you're not going to lose any kind of accuracy. You're not going to have a wider spread. Even though this barrel tapers, the inside of shotgun barrels is the same from the back end all the way to the front end. So you're not going to have any issues whatsoever in that way. So if it's an 18-inch barrel, it's not going to necessarily spread wider when it comes out versus a 28. The only thing that causes it to have tighter patterns is the choke. So if it's chokeless, you're going to have a little bit wider pattern in general. But that's the same thing as if you got a 28-inch barrel, you pulled the choke up off of it. So there's no issues there. So when I hear people say that, it's probably just not true. Take care of your customer. Peace and blessings. Just like what we were saying, you want to use the teeth on your saw. They're going to be a lot finer, because otherwise you're going to gnaw this up. You're going to kick this all over the place, and you're going to end up with kind of a funky cut on there. Take your time with this. You only get one chance on this. Well, if you go to 19 inches, you can come back a little bit.
There he goes. Now he's into the actual, it's cut through the vent rib, and now he's into the barrel. This is something we definitely recommend using a hacksaw, not like a grinder or anything like that. It's going to heat up the steel. You want to keep the barrel fairly cool while you're doing this. And a hacksaw does a really good job of that. Now, as you can see here, if you've got a saw guide, that really does help to kind of keep everything going straight.
Yeah, nice.
Well worth the expense if you're cutting off a barrel, you know, on a gun that, you know, you spend $500 on a gun, you might as well spend the extra expense and get the right tool for it.
And you could probably use it for any kind of other job.
Yeah, it works for a lot of different stuff.
Not condoning pipe bomb usage, but it's probably make it pretty good stuff.
And we are joking on that, so don't put any comments on there about that. And make sure you saw all the way through. You don't want to leave that burr on the very end. Perfect. Now we took a gun that was a hunting shotgun and brought it into a home defense gun in under 5 minutes. And he's going to flip that to you so you can see what's going on. We were able to cut it off, and if you notice, if you look real close to the tip, you notice that he cut it at the actual T bar here, so that he didn't actually, so it's not hanging, the vent isn't hanging. So
just for
there
any
you go.
of you that want to take the vent rib off, it's as simple as grabbing onto it with a pair of big old channel locks, and you can just yank this thing off. Then you can file it down or do a little bit of grinding on top to clean it up. This can actually just pop off. It's probably just like a tack weld or some kind of an adhesive, you know, metal adhesive. But as far as it goes, you're going to have no issues just popping that off. I like the vent rib. It's going to help out with target acquisition pretty well.
And it still allows you to be able to hunt with it for birds and things like that.
Right.
You know, if you're up close. So that's how to cut down a barrel on a, you know, any kind of shotgun, really. Have a great day.